What's up, our culinary delinquents, and welcome to Where Does Food, the food history podcast about, food history. I'm Elle.
And I'm Tim, and apparently you guys are fucking delinquents now. All right.
Culinary one, so it's fun. We're breaking the mold.
You know, I think about what we call anyone who listens to this podcast I all the time, because we just don't have a name that like lends itself to, like, our podcast name doesn't lend itself to like people being called like a certain thing. But I think culinary delinquents is great, man. That's it's a good time.
Thank you. I thought it would kind of cue off of the juvenile delinquents. Go the culinary.
Yeah. Anytime we get to call anybody delinquents, peasants, anything like that,
endearingly.
It's good for the brand.
Absolutely.
It's good for the brand.
Always endearingly. Every time. Fantastic. So today, Tim, we're talking about poke, which actually a fun trick I learned. Poke rhymes with okay. So if you're ever trying to remember how to say it, apparently that's how you say it.
Just do people say poke? I'm assuming
poke. Yeah, I don't know
poke.
Either out of irony or just because they don't know, because it is spelled like that. But
yeah, I was always told that it was poke.
Poke. Yeah. So remember, poke rhymes with okay. So Tim, how do you feel about it?
I love poke.
Yeah.
What a surprise. Tim loves the food.
No, I mean, people can kind of be either hit or miss about it. They either really don't like it or they really love it.
Yeah, I feel like it's the same way with sushi, right? Which I'm sure we'll talk about, sushi and sashimi and all that. Poke it's in the same vein, right? It's like it's raw fish with like fresh veggies and like a sauce and shit like that.
Absolutely,
so
it's definitely in the same realm for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah. It's not everyone's it's not everyone's cup of tea, but yeah, I personally enjoy it.
Good. No, same
Love
here.
it.
Okay, great. I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, I've just recently got introduced to it and I really enjoyed it. I was surprised. Yeah. I was like, yeah, that's actually really good. So, okay, usually, and we'll kind of talk about this, of course, later, but their tuna is like the biggest and main form of poke. Like that's your biggest form of protein, source of protein. So there are 45 species of tuna. I had no clue.
What the fuck?
Yeah, I know, right? I had no clue.
Okay.
So from 1 to 45, Tim, how would you rate poke?
1 to 45. I'll tell you what.
I'm listening.
Let's go 28.
Oh, we have so much room to grow. That's a solid 20. That's a solid score, though. I'll take that.
Listen, it's because sushi is better. No, I like poke bowls. They're fine. I just I do enjoy it. It's just like if someone's like, man, I'm like in the mood. I've never said I'm in the mood for poke. Like I've always been like, yeah, I'm in the mood for sushi. Like that sounds good.
Oh yeah, no, that's fair.
And then like sometimes I just happen to order poke instead, and I'm like, because a bowl sounds nice or whatever. I don't know, like it's just not a food I go to. So yeah, 28, plenty of room to grow. See if we can get me there. I'm gonna be harsh this season. I said it last episode, and I was.
Granted, we talked about cookies. So also last episode we talked about cookies too. So
hard to be harsh.
All right, today that'll start today. Second episode.
Second episode of season 3. Getting spicy with some poke, some spicy sauce on some poke. Hey guys, welcome to the ad section. I'm here to tell you real quick about Anchor by Spotify. You may have heard us talk about Anchor at the end of our episodes, is because Anchor is the platform we use to distribute our podcasts. It's totally free. It helps us distribute our podcasts to different platforms. That's how we're on Apple Podcasts. That's how we're on Google Podcasts, CastBox, you name it. They've helped us do that. You can record directly on the app, on the webpage. So you don't even need a super fancy setup. It's super straightforward, totally free. So download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started on your podcast or whatever you like to do. All right, guys, enjoy the rest of the episode.
Legend has it that poke originated from the Polynesian Triangle. So the idea, and it's like the area of Polynesia, it's made up of more than 1,000 islands scattered over the central and southern Pacific Ocean. New Zealand and Hawaii are also considered to be a part of that triangle. So Tim, whenever you move to New Zealand, you'll be technically living in the Polynesian Triangle, which is pretty exciting. So it also consists. Yeah, go ahead, Tim.
No, I was going to say there are already two things that I had no idea about like at the top of this episode, and that there's 45 species of tuna, and that the Polynesian Triangle has 1,000 different islands, and both New Zealand and
Absolutely,
Hawaii.
yeah. And it's like made up for like Tonga and Fiji, Samoa, like all of those islands as well. So it's just all the network. Sounds way better than the Bermuda Triangle, in my personal opinion. I think I'd rather visit this place, but you know.
Oh, sounds way better. I'll visit both though, for posterity.
Dude, you might get lost in the Bermuda Triangle though.
Yeah, but that sounds good. Have I not to get us like way off, but like I desperately want to have a paranormal experience, and I don't know how to get one. So I think I'm gonna have to start I'm gonna have to start going for the gusto. You know, I'm gonna go to like the Bell Cave, and then I'm gonna like stay at some haunted hotels, and then if that doesn't work, I'm going straight off the deep end, right to the Bermuda Triangle. Get me in a plane, put me in the middle, and let it just crash the plane and I disappear.
No, because hear me out. I feel like the Bell Witch Cave, you might actually see something, and you might not actually come back from that.
Yeah, no one sees anything in the Bell Witch Cave though, so it's fine.
Because they don't remember it.
It's like,
she got him.
I mean, either way, I welcome it. I welcome the paranormal. So if anybody has any suggestions where I can go die from a ghost or something, sound off in the comments.
New podcast alert. We're about to take you on some ghost adventures, apparently. Tim's Twilight time.
Yeah, back to the islands and
it's perfect though. Okay, so while others also make the claim that poke specifically originated from Hawaii, while the Polynesian Triangle consists of many countries with similar dishes to poke, it seems to be that Hawaii is the main spot where poke originates from.
Yeah, man. It throws some fucking mayonnaise on that bad boy. Good. Yeah, they're big with mayo in their poke bowls in Hawaii.
It's so good. It's so good. So there's ahi, which is described as two types of tuna, big eye and yellowfin tuna. And then there's also aku or skipjack tuna. And these would be the main sources of fish that would be consumed with poke. According to food historians, besides us, their poke would have consisted of chopped pieces of raw fish, massaged with sea salt, seaweed, crushed in amona, which is candle nuts, so just some nuts, and then kuki nuts as well. And then over time, legend has it that it's kind of evolved that fishermen, while they're out at sea, catching the day's catch, they just they cut off a bit of their catch, and then that's how they had their little snack. Could you imagine they just went teeth in? No. But yeah, they just cut off a little bit, and that was just supposed to hold them over. I do want to note that I couldn't really find an official time frame during the research, but a lot of the time whenever there was reference to poke, the period of time was labeled as pre-contact time. And so from what it sounds like, it was at least the time before Americans tried to make Hawaii a state, and Hawaii became a state in 1959, in case some of you needed that history lesson.
Okay. I always forget that that's so recent.
Same. I didn't, for some reason I thought it was around like after World War II.
It's always been a state.
Yeah, no. It's like after World War II.
America's always existed.
Yes.
We're the everlasting country.
Make DC a state.
No, that's interesting. Yeah, that's interesting, and that makes a lot of sense. I feel like that's the origin of eating raw fish. I feel like is what you just told. It's like let's just like no harm in taking a nib off the catch. You know what I mean, boys? Just pop it in their mouth.
Just a little piece. Let's just see what happens.
Yeah, they just lick the sweat off their arm, and that's the salt for
like tequila shots. Same thing.
Yeah, they just lick the back of their palm and then pop a piece of skipjack in their fucking face, and that's it. That's how it started.
That and salt. That was good because they at this point they were apparently trading salmon for salt and salt for salmon. So they were just like, hey. Well,
at some point, someone ran into each other as
on those
they
trade
were passing
winds.
Things off. Yeah, they were passing things off, and they bumped each other, and salt landed on the fish, and they were like, "Well, we gotta eat it." And then they found out. Yeah, they found out that was the trick.
This is exciting. This is setting it up for something else later. So as time goes on and flavors changes as immigration happens, that's just the natural progression of things as we've seen. So people from Asian countries, from Japan, China, they influenced the recipe of poke, and they were adding soy sauce and sesame oil. There's just and from that's where you got that umami flavor that poke is associated with.
Yeah, that and like the oil and chilies, like that's a big thing too, which comes from Asian culture as well, which is just simply incredible, by the way. But like that's my favorite like table condiment, I guess is what you could say, is when you go into like a sushi shop or like a pho shop, or, you know what I mean, like a pho shop, and then like anytime they have like the oil and chili that you just like spoon out,
that's when you know it's gonna be good.
Yeah, man, it's the best. I mean, it's awesome. I mean, the chili and oil is a great combination, and it deserves to be on all food.
all food. That's your amendment to the Constitution.
Yeah.
Chili and oil to all food.
Yeah. Which one? What number are we at?
Ayo. Okay, so this brings us to the idea of what modern poke is. So that's small cut pieces of raw fish with added ingredients on top that would marinate the fish. So these protein pastes now include octopus, shrimp, salmon, dried beef, and Tim, one of your favorites, Spam. So poke has just evolved, into any protein base. Yeah,
that's a big Spam in Hawaii, man. They're just, legend has it's how you spell Hawaii is SPAM. So they're one and the same is what I'm saying.
Honestly, maybe that's we'll add that to one of the seasons.
Spam.
We'll do Spam.
Yeah,
absolutely. So
sure, it'll be a 50-minute episode of me telling everyone how much I love Spam.
Okay, I'll take it. Absolutely. The kicker here, and this is I feel like you'll probably enjoy this, is the much more quote unquote mainland way of consuming poke, and that's going to be the poke bowls, right?
Yeah. Okay. I didn't realize it was served other ways.
So really,
but I guess.
Yeah. Good.
I was just gonna say, I guess since you're talking about like bros just cutting off a piece of fish with some salt, so I guess there are different ways. But yeah,
it evolved. No, but this is definitely the more common standard way now that you see throughout. The biggest difference is really going to be if there is going to be a base of the poke. So most of the time, poke can either be served just the raw fish sauce, some veggies, some oils, spices, as Tim was saying, and that's it. Or you can have a base or an anchor, which would be like a sushi, rice, brown rice, just a veggie mix, green mix. So yeah, but yeah, absolutely.
Cold noodles,
absolutely.
Things like that.
So there's different things. So yeah, no, that kind of brings us exactly where we're going. So you add your protein on there, and I mean, again, it can be anything from tofu now to the Ica salad, spicy salmon, scallops, shrimp. And then you can add on, jalapenos, onions, cabbage, edamame, cucumber, carrots. And this is where it's fun because that's where you can layer on these flavor profiles, right? So then you've got like spicy mayo, unagi sauce, ginger, yummy sauce, sriracha, wasabi mayo, soy sauce, teriyaki sauce. And then you can top it with seaweed, pineapple, ginger, wasabi, crispy garlic or onion, avocados, masago, mango, tempura. I'm getting so hungry. Furikake and roasted sesame and seaweed, and then of course the chili powder. Again, that's like one of the best things about poke bowls is that you can customize it to however your flavor profile is feeling that way.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
Good. Absolutely. So
you know how? Yeah, now I'm kind of craving poke. So.
Soy sauce.
Yeah, now I'm
spicy mayo.
Craving it.
So I did want to know with the introduction of modern poke bowls and like modern poke in and of itself. So we were kind of talking about it earlier, how it's you could kind of call it like deconstructed sushi. And so they definitely share ingredients and similar flavor profiles, but they're both just staples of two culinary staples from where they come from. So one being Hawaii and then one being Japan. So Tim, you were talking about it earlier. So sushi and sashimi. So sashimi, which I feel like people aren't as familiar with, it's a Japanese delicacy that consists of raw fish or meat, but usually fish, sliced into delicate thin pieces, and then it's usually eaten with soy sauce, and that's it.
It's I love it.
I've never had it. Tell me about it.
Okay, the next time you order sushi or whatever, like most places offer sashimi cuts. As well. So just get a couple of cuts because I don't know, it's just good. I mean, it's just cold raw fish with like soy sauce, which is just like this salty flavor. But like I don't know, man, it's just good. Like it just has a good texture. It's like that nice soft, like fatty, meaty texture of fish.
Ooh, that sounds
it's
good.
Great.
Okay.
I love it. I'm a big fan. Like sushi's awesome Like the sushi rolls are great, and there's tons of variety, and you get all these fun, rolls and fried rolls and shrimp, like all these different things that exist in a sushi roll. But sometimes it's just nice to let the fish shine by itself, because it depends on what kind of sushi you're getting, but some more delicate like sushi is more fish focused, you know what I mean? It's very much like we don't want a lot of things getting in the way of the star, whereas like other rolls are, look, we put 27 sauces and shoved it full of avocado and fried it, you know what I mean? And I am not hating. That shit is good as fuck. I'm just saying, there's a couple different ways of eating that stuff, but I just enjoy the simplicity. I'll say it again, the simplicity of that, raw fish and salt, essentially. It's great. Yeah, love it.
Were you on the boat, Tim? Yeah,
Big
no,
fan.
Okay, absolutely. So I will fan. Definitely add it.
Yeah, I also love the side of mercury that comes with it. It's good. It's good.
Yeah, don't consume too much fish. You could have mercury poisoning.
It's great. It's great. The mercury count on every fish right now is through the fucking roof. We should keep eating it. It's good.
No,
good. Whatever we're doing to our oceans, keep it up.
It just adds a little extra flavor, Tim. Don't you like that? Yeah.
Yeah. Adds a little bit of adds some flavor down.
Thanks, Gary. No, so I think you bring up a good point there. So sushi, again, it's in the same breath, but yeah, it's the biggest difference is that it's usually rolled again in rice. It can just be usually it's rice and seaweed.
There's like cucumber, stuff like that. There are definitely rolls. Different rolls, but rice is the most common. Rice and seaweed are the most common, I would say, for sure.
Like you said, good sushi, it slaps. And fried sushi is also just delicious. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, you know what? Cheap sushi, if it's like, if it's just at like food regulation, also slaps. Like I don't care what anyone says. Mediocre sushi is good. That shit
it still
good.
Hits just the same. Absolutely. Okay.
It is, as long as it's not like warm and weird, it's good. Absolutely. Man. You know what I mean? I fuck with it all the way. It's like this like stance of like elitism that people get around food when it's like, well, it's not like authentic. Like, go fuck yourself. And like and like it's just like this kind of air about if we're eating something, it needs to be the best version of that something, or it's just not worthy of our time.
Oh yeah,
like,
absolutely.
Shut up.
That's such a problem. Yeah.
Not 99% of everything you consume is going to be lesser than the best version of that thing. So just like, like it can be mediocre and still be totally worth your time because it's cheap and it hits a spot.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm so glad you said that, dude. Absolutely.
Cheaper sushi, it hits a spot. Is it the best? No. Is it the best fish? No. Is it like the greatest flavors? No. But you know what? A little bit of yum yum sauce and some soy sauce will fix that
real
right
quick.
Up. So like it'll fix it right the fuck up. Trust me. So it's just, I don't know, not to like harp on people or anything, because I think we're all just trying our best. It's okay if things aren't the best version of that you've ever had. Like it can be mediocre and you can respect it for like where it lies in that spectrum of food.
It's like you said, when it's good, it's good. Doesn't matter. Yeah.
Yeah. So if it hits the spot,
when it's smack dough, it's smack dough.
Yeah. When it's smack, it's smack. I don't know what to tell you.
Now, Tim, I'm sure you and some of our fantastic listeners are probably like, wait a second, poke sounds similar to sashimi, which also sounds familiar to, yes, it sounds familiar to other raw food dishes like tartare, which is usually beef, like a ground beef or horse meat. But obviously in this case, fish should be considered raw fish at tartare, which is another point that sometimes tartare can just also be used as a general term for raw food. So just keep that in mind, like a raw meat situation. With that, also you have ceviche, which this kind of circles back to what Tim was talking about, because I was trying to hold my breath, because you want to talk about fresh. So with ceviche, it originates from Western South America. It's fresh raw fish cured in a citrus juice. Either lemon, lime, maybe both, but like this stuff is literally like immediately cured. Like there's no like very, very small wait time from when this stuff gets picked up and cut to cured to.
It is very
to consume.
Very good.
Fresh. And then on top of that, once you throw those citrus juices on it, then it's seasoned. Can't go fucking wrong with that, my guy. And it's usually
It's so
an
good.
appetizer. Like as soon as it's brought out, you eat it. Like there's no questions about it.
Yeah.
And it's very similar to the idea of poke, where the fish becomes marinated with some spices, with some sauce, and then you just hit.
Yeah, I mean, word of warning: if you don't like tangy, like citrus fruits, don't get ceviche
That's a
because
great
that's
warning.
what it predominantly tastes like. It predominantly tastes like that because it's cured in that. It's cured in the citrus. That's the point. But it's so good. I'm a big fan. Like I love that, like really sharp, tangy, overpowering, borderline overpowering taste. Balance it with some salt and a little bit of heat. That and then that, and since the protein is technically like in a raw state, it's cured, but it's like raw. That comes. I mean, it's just a like an appetizer of strong flavors. Like it just
Packs
is
a punch, not the lot.
like
Yeah.
This because the seafood is real strong because it's not like cooked out, and then the citrus is real strong because it's it's what it's cured in. So it's just. Yeah, it's just a wonderfully, and then like there's a lot of cilantro gets put on it, like the fresh herbs, shit like that gets put on it. So, I mean, it's just one of those like hit you in your taste buds appetizers, and it's fucking
Definitely,
awesome.
it's gonna wake you up for sure. So let me ask you. Side note: would you do sashimi if you had to choose, or would you do ceviche if you had to choose? You can only choose one.
Ceviche.
I love it. Yeah, same here.
I mean, me. Come on.
I knew where I was going. You never know. Sometimes you surprise me.
Spanish food, Mexican food. Yeah, I mean, that stuff
Can't go wrong with those flavor profiles.
Direct line to my heart, man. As much as I love Asian foods, and I do love them, I don't know. That holds a like. It would like I always love the questions of like if you only could get one. Like naturally, it would suck never to have that nice savory kind of more like soy sauce mellowed out sashimi vibe. But like, fuck it. But fuck it, you know what I mean? Because ceviche is definitely more involved. I think it is.
Absolutely.
Because I think the whole point of sashimi is supposed to be, I mean, fuck, in some places, or in some instances, rather, it's a fucking art form.
Yep,
Like,
absolutely.
The cuts are so specific and precise, and it's just, it's meant to be like, shit, like, I think you mentioned that it was like a delicacy, but like, the word, like it is, for sure. In some instances, it's nice.
Absolutely, it's like you said, it's real nice. Ceviche,
melt in your mouth, nice, dissolves, nice. So they're again different levels, though. Different levels to all that shit. Ain't nothing wrong with it. Ain't nothing wrong with cheaper sashimi. It ain't got to melt in my mouth. It just got to be good.
It's got to be fresh. Absolutely, that's the thing. So legend, bringing it back. So also has it that poke was a favorite of the islands, and at home, these small mom pop shops. But it wasn't until the 1970s when it started to pop up around the islands. Not that long after we were like. Let's make you guys a state. So poke was considered a great on-the-go snack, and because it was a great high source of protein. Like whatever type of protein you had, you were going to be good for a good amount of time.
Still is, by the way.
For sure.
Still is. Like still is in Hawaii. It's like there's tons of poke shops and stuff, and the whole point of it is like pop in, get you a little bowl, and fucking pop out.
That's it. Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah. They treat poke the way we treat glizzies. You know what I mean?
In every corner. No, yeah. So I'm glad you brought that up because in 2011, poke actually started to become pretty popular in North America in general, and by 2018. There were 10 times the amount of poke restaurants in the United States.
Holy shit,
started
buddy.
at about 175. Yeah, and we were about a little over 1,800 by the time 2018 rolled around.
Damn.
And I couldn't really find any more, like, with more accurate data from 2018, but I could tell you that by 2021, poke consumption has grown in the United States just annually by 6.99% a year.
Wow, 69.
But yeah, just popping up all over the place. And again, we kind of talked about it. Like the big draw with poke, it's like fast casual restaurants just popping up and gaining way more popularity. That's a huge thing about it.
And also fast casual. It's great. I'm glad. That's one of the best like food trends of like modern times for sure. And also, I would say another thing with poke is that it is very pleasing to look at.
Absolutely.
Like poke bowls are cute as fuck. So like it's one of those things where it's like it's kind of got everything, right? It's got like it's relatively healthy depending on like the sauces you use. It's fast casual, so you'll get it quick. And it's pretty, so it's like it's the trifecta of everything you need to go viral.
I was going to say, no, Tim, I'm
essentially.
really glad you mentioned that because that's definitely, we laugh about it, but that viral ability, the picture worthiness at Poke,
the IG,
like that's part of the reason why it helped explode the food, because people are like, oh wait, that's so good, like it looks so colorful, it looks so good, and it's like, oh yeah, it is, and it's really light. I was full all day. Like, it's a really easy thing to sell, but that's, like, ironically enough, definitely one of the things that expanded its growth. And then on top of that, like, especially here in the States, we love, not only do we love, you know, fast casual dining, we love the buffet style type situation of like, oh yeah, like the assembly, I said buffet style, the assembly line style of like, oh yeah, I don't know why I said buffet style. Oh, I know where my brain's at. The assembly line style of where you can, pick out how much you want, pick out what you see it actually being made in front of you, and then boom, like you're out, like you said, you're out the door within less than, 5 to 10 minutes. Like, you can't go wrong with that.
Yeah, I would say buffets have actually dropped in popularity. I think a pandemic might do that a little bit,
Just a little bit.
I think it might put people...
They were already kind of falling off.
I think it put people a little bit more on the edge about it all, where it's like, I don't know if I want to be going around grabbing all these spoons with these gross-ass people, which when you think about it conceptually, even before 2020, that was gross what we did.
It was really gross.
Kids are running around putting,
people are just actively sneezing.
Yeah, kids are grabbing the same spoon that you're grabbing to put your sugar chicken on your plate with. You know what I mean? It's just, that's disgusting. That kid probably shoved his hand up his ass or something like that. You know what I mean? So it's,
that kid 100%.
So
100% stuck his hand in his nose or his mouth and then touched the food.
So I mean, every handle at a buffet was
Russian
just
roulette,
like
baby.
Yeah, was just a butt handle at some point. So it's,
So yeah, the big difference with like whenever you go like modern poke, like these poke bowls and stuff that pop up, versus whenever you would go to like traditional poke shops, is like usually they're just making that right there in front of you, throw the protein in, throw all the sauces on, boom, bang, you're out. Like traditional poke shops, that shit would just be chilling like in the fridge. Like you would see it and you'd be like, oh yeah, like can I get that one over there please? And like they like marinating in the sauce that they made it with,
which is great, man. Great.
Just kind of as we saw with oysters, the ecological impact this type of consumption would have on the market. Initially, fishermen caught fish using a pole and a line that was about 10 feet. And it was a barbless hook, so relatively harmless. And it was used with a feather skirt that slapped against water until a fish struck. Once the fish struck, the fish would be yanked into the vessel in one motion. A single baited line and pole caught large fish and tuna. So this is a pretty traditional way of catching fish, and definitely one of the more less invasive methods. Yes. Way more time consuming. You're probably not going to yield as much of a crop, which is where we are now.
Which is bad for investors.
Which is not great.
Just say the words. Just say the words.
It's not profitable.
Yeah, there you go.
So now the U.S. imports about 90% of our seafood. The majority of our tuna comes from the Philippines, Thailand, Indonesia, and Vietnam. So, I mean, we just can't even provide enough seafood for us to consume in the United States. So in the United States, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, or NOAA, they manage the plan that limits commercial fishing permits. They limit time in their areas of fishing. They restrict the use of different types of fishing gear and monitor the size of quantity of fishes that are caught. Pretty standard regulations across the board. These regulations were put into place to, in theory, supposedly help with preserving fish, like the tuna stocks, and reducing the damage done to the ecosystem. But of course, those standards are not standardized across the board, as in like
you mean
the rest of the world.
You mean globally. That's a standard for American fishermen and not a standard for literally any other country. So naturally, we can do all we want to do, but if there isn't like a global effort, it doesn't matter.
And I want to make note of that because it's like, yes, we are talking about poke and fish and seafood, but that just goes for, we import a lot of food. I mean, not just this. I mean, we import so much food. So it's like, there's not a standardization of food regulations or safety standard operating procedures in a global market.
No, there isn't.
So
When that's what's so weird, right? This is like the dichotomy of so many things too, is that we've like gotten to the point where economically we are global, but policy,
no turning back.
we're
Right.
not, like we lack so heavily, like policy wise when it comes to global. But like it is interesting to me. We talk about food and we talk about food safety standards and we talk about, just maintaining certain species health and all this shit. And it's like, we can regulate our companies as much as we want, but we've seen if a company wants to do something and they operate out of America, they'll just set up some other headquarter in a different country and function out of that country.
Yep.
Like, and I mean, it's truly amazing. I mean, I think there is something that we have to face globally. I don't know. I have this thing about food where like you can try and treat food like a business. Some stuff just doesn't translate well, and food's one of them. I mean, because there's waste in food. It's also, food is like intrinsically important for survival. So like, I don't know. I have my thoughts and feelings on that type of stuff when it comes to food, and it's just that like, it's sort of like roads. Some stuff is just better if we just support it. You know what I mean? Rather than try and rely on like hyper privatization of all that shit. You know what I mean? That's just my take on that. It's like, sometimes like hyper capitalist stances on certain things just don't work, and I think food is one of them. I think food is just, and I think you can look at it across the board. Farmers don't make money, things like that. Cutting corners is important to all this shit because the profit margins are so thin. It just costs a lot of money to do all this shit. I don't know. I mean, so why make people worry about that instead of just like trying to do our best? We have the ability to do our best when it comes to that stuff. When it comes to fishing, when it comes to farming, we have the ability to like just make sure it's good. So let's just spend the money and make sure it's good. I don't know.
Make sure it's good and safe for everyone.
Not to lose the thread, and it's totally okay if people disagree with me on that. Like, it's fine. Like if you believe that like more privatization in that realm is the better choice, great, cool. Yeah, maybe you're right, maybe that does, provide innovation and things like that to better ourselves. I just worry about how slow the market can be in reacting to things.
Right.
That's my only concern. I think I mentioned it a little bit.
Super slow, yeah.
Yeah, I mentioned it a little bit in the chicken nugget episode, right? Where I was saying, like, if we're waiting on consumers to dictate the good quality stuff, that's going to take a really long time and might not even ever actually get there. So it's like, do we wait for that, or do we just sort of go, well, this isn't good. We need to make sure that what we're doing is good. And I don't know. I'm for the let's probably just make sure we're doing it good. No.
Absolutely. Yeah. Back to fishing methods. So the majority of fishing. Absolutely.
There I go again.
The majority of fishing is long line fishing. So long line fishing is where fishermen will cast a spool of line that has about 1,000 baited hooks on there, and that can go up to 50 miles, Tim. This method became more used in the 1980s when the international markets were looking to Hawaii to support and fund their fish needs, right? So long lining, as you probably can imagine it's an issue because depending on the depth and the length of the line, you're going to catch more than just the sea creatures that you're intending to catch. So yeah, not great. And in some other ecosystems, overfishing can also cause issues with the food chain, which is actually a pretty big deal. And that affects a surplus of lower level fish, which, again, we're fucking up the food chain, which is not great because then we're inherently fucking up the biome and the ecosystem that has been set up, i.e. specifically in the sea that we're talking about. And so, fun fact, tuna are actually top predators, and they suffer from overfishing. Mm-hmm. So there's that.
Tuna are they're fucking huge, man. They're big fish.
Massive.
Yeah. Yeah.
Again, did not realize that. And then also to that point, did not realize that there were 45 different types of species of tuna.
Yeah, I didn't know that one.
And then seeing how big they were, I was like, my God.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is a problem. So again, another issue with commercial tuna fishing is the bycatch method. So bycatch has some of the same issues of long lining. Other species besides the targeted ones, and this one's kind of bad because this one's got the bigger animals on it. So you've got, I mean, they're all bad, but you've got sea turtles, dolphins, porpoises, like Whales, even in some situations, are all being caught in these byline catches, which again is not great for so many different reasons.
Yeah, the things we don't use for food, things we just like there's no reason for them to be caught in our shit. Like we're just fucking.
And it's like
up.
to that. Think about all the trash that's also getting picked up in these types of methods as well.
Yeah.
But so similarly, we've got the purse seining method, and this requires releasing a large net around a school of fish. Mm-hmm. And then once all of the fish go in here, they close that net, and then whatever is caught in that net, again, including the fish. So it's going to be anything that's like it's all brought on board. Doesn't matter if it's actually supposed to be the fish that they're trying to get. Fishermen will use fads or fish aggregating devices to help them. So these are wooden structures that float to the surface. And again, same thing. You're not getting your intended catch. You're fucking up the ecosystem. And another fun fact, no science time this week, but a fun fact. In the 1990s, the U.S. Department of Commerce created a dolphin-safe tuna label for canned tuna. So hoping to curb the high jump in dolphin deaths that occurred from purse seining practices.
Yeah.
So, yeah, isn't that wild? So the top 3 canned tuna companies at the time was Starkist, Bumblebee, and Chicken of the Sea. Shout out Jessica Simpson. Agreed not to sell tuna that were caught this way.
Yeah, so the big 3 were like, all right, we won't kill dolphins.
That was the least that they could do. Again, we talked about this. We kind of touched on it earlier, Tim. So when importing seafood, it's more than likely frozen, right, during transport. After a few days, the fish begins to oxidize, turns brown, kind of like apples or avocados in that same breath. So some fish processing plants will treat tuna with carbon monoxide smoke, which helps keep that tuna, quote unquote, fresh, keep that red color on them. But then on the consumer side, unless you just have a great eye for fish, it's kind of hard to tell if it's still of good quality or not. And because of this, sometimes there's been issues with hepatitis infections and then also salmonella contaminations as well. So it's like, it's safe to say that there should be some sort of standardization of food regulations. But until then, we've got to figure out a way to not only have safe food, but also make sure that we're not just completely wrecking the ecosystem and the environment trying to yield high crops.
Yeah.
That's kind of the other side of poke, and that, again,
the sad side.
It was the early the early 1990s was when Hawaii was just getting completely poached of all of its
also
tuna. And
I just want to say for like canned tuna, there's a lot of different things that pop up on canned tuna at this point. There's like dolphin free or dolphin safe, like all that stuff that pops up. There is a little icon that I believe Chicken of the Sea might have. I believe they're the only one of the big 3 that have it. And then there's one of those big 3 have it. And then there's like, oddly enough, like the Kroger brand and the Great Value brand, weirdly enough, like Walmart's a little off-brand, like offshoot brands have this label. And I'm working from memory, so I just don't fully know what it means. But there's like a little, looks like it's like a little blue fish. Looks a lot like the Christian fish thing. You know what I mean? It's like a very like basic geometric fish. You know?
Yes.
And apparently that's the label you really want to look for, because that also means that they're fishing in the most like I guess economical way, not economical, but like the safest way for like the actual tuna. Line and pole fishing, and it'll have that little blue thing on it. It's more expensive.
Oh, wow, okay. Thanks.
It's more
Absolutely,
it's more expensive, but like I don't know, man. Canned tuna is not super expensive anyway, so like I don't know. That's me.
Especially considering what you're. I
don't know. That's me privileged talking. I get it. Like there's $1.50 canned tuna, and then there's like the $3.50 canned tuna, and I buy the $3 one where it's line and pole, like all the bells and whistles, because it's like because I can. But there we go. Like going back to like if we're leaving it up to the consumer, it's like who even fucking knows that? You know what I mean? Outside of like me, like I
literally just learned that. Yeah, no, you just told me that.
Being a freak and just like worried about where his food's coming from, like you know what I mean. And I'm pretty sure Brenna told me about that because she heard it on
Tooth and Claw, which is another podcast. I believe it was Tooth and Claw. If not, hey, Tooth and Claw is cool. That's also still cool podcast. Go listen to it. No, but like, you know, so like if you are concerned about, you know, eating certain things and you maybe just want to like you try your best, like we all are, that's something I do know when it comes to shopping canned tuna, at least, is that you can navigate that a little bit. Don't buy Bumblebee. They don't do like anything outside of the dolphin thing, pretty much. And I think Starkist has a variety that's decent, like that actually like goes above and beyond. But they have their cheaper varieties as well. Like I said, I think it's Starkist that does it. I think Chicken of the Sea, which weirdly enough is like the cheaper of the three, does probably the most. Probably does the most, I think, as far as like preservation concerns.
Interesting.
I think. You know, I'm working off memory, so I apologize if I'm wrong about all this. But I do know the Bluefish is the thing to go. I just don't remember the specific like brands.
Okay. We'll keep an eye out to look for it then.
Yeah. If you ever shop that. I don't know. I'm sorry. Side tangent again, but that's just something I was thinking about.
Tim, that's Poke though.
That's Poke. I
gave it at 28. So where are you at? Yeah.
Fucking 20.
Womp womp.
Yeah, man. Fish is a bummer. Every time we talk about fish, I always get sad. Because literally every seafood episode, every seafood episode is just like, by the way, we overfarm this. And it's
every time. No, every time.
It's like, damn. No, I'm not going to drop it down. I'm not going to drop it all the way down to 20. I'm just not going to change it. 28.
That's fair.
No, I mean, I didn't do like research on Poke, but I did know that it was like a big Hawaiian thing. So, I mean, it's weirdly I knew quite a bit about it. You know, I did learn the species thing, and the whole part about the way we farm, I only knew of a couple of those. So some really awesome information there. I did not know that there were so many different options, and that all of them kind of suck ass.
Most of them really
outside
suck
of like
ass. Outside
of like the Poland line, like the classic like low yield way. But it's low yield for I guess a proper fucking reason. So it's so weird that like we live in this day and age where you can get like where you get whatever the fuck you want, but it's like, man,
when we want.
If you look at like the result of that, it's ooh, buddy. like maybe we shouldn't be getting everything we want all the time.
Maybe we should chill out. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's very Veruca Salt of us, you know?
Yeah. It's like fucking A. It's like maybe there's a reason why it wasn't like available all the time at some point.
Yeah, absolutely.
But fuck you telling me I can't have tuna whenever I feel like it. You
Poke
piece
whenever
of
I want.
You piece of shit. Yeah, no, 28. Staying the same for me, all right? I'm being harsh this season.
That's right. Well, you know, you did that. Okay.
Yeah, I'm being harsh this season.
Yeah, 28. No change.
Do we got anything else, or am I going in to the end?
No. Go into the outro, buddy.
Guys, that was Where Does Food Poke edition. It's
boom.
That was our 22nd episode. Outside, not counting bonus episodes. 22nd episode. Season 3 underway, coming in hot. We're crushing it. Season 3 sounding great. That new intro song, guys. The intro song is
good.
Is by friend of the podcast,
Austin
Martin, friend of the podcast. And he did that music for us, does the outro for us as well, and our little ad transitions, the little stings. He did all that, guys. You can check him out on Spotify under Meridian Sky. Links will also be in the description for that. Guys, you can check him out. It's good. He makes some tunes. Don't expect any singing because he sounds like shit when he's singing. No, I'm kidding. he just doesn't sing. I think he said he sounds like shit. I think he has a beautiful voice, and I wish he would sing to me sometimes, but he doesn't. So that's that. So check him out, Meridian Sky, Spotify. So shout out to him. Also, guys, you can find. That's right. I put the people that helped this podcast before us. He used the top of the shout outs on episode 2. You can find us, Elle and myself. You can find us on Twitter. That's right. Check us out on the Bird site. You can check us out at Where Does Food. That's the podcast one. Or you can follow us individually. I'm at Tim Wehunt.
I'm at El Chapo with 3 underscores.
Yeah.
Between L and Chapo.
Yeah. Again, you can find those ats in the description. They'll be there. You can check them out. You can also listen to the podcast wherever you fucking find podcasts, pretty much. I mean, We're on Apple. We're on
You got it.
Spotify. You know, we're on Castbox, Google, all that stuff, man. We're out there. We are available. Have a listen. If you want to support us as just like a normal ass like donation, just like, hey, I'm gonna throw money at these people, you can go to anchor.fm/where-does-food. There is a little supporter button. You click on that, and it's just a donation button essentially. So instead of like going through PayPal or Cash App or whatever the fuck anyone else does, we just have it on the same page. You can find the podcast. So you can also go to wheredoesfood.com, and that'll still, that'll get you to the episodes. It'll also get you to the main Anchor page as well. So you can, there's tons of ways. If you don't want to spend any money and you want to support us, guys, you can share the podcast. You can blow smoke up our ass about how good it is, because it is good, by the way. It's a good podcast.
Pretty solid.
And you could also leave us a review. Spotify allows you to, and I know Apple does as well. And that helps.
Absolutely.
It helps. It's free. It's easy. It helps. So you can do that. That's it, I think. I know.
Yeah, you crushed it again. No, yeah.
Yeah, that's it. I'm incredible. Fucking.
Like the back of your hand.
Yeah. Either way, that's the podcast. That was Poke. That's episode 2 of season 3. And that's me. I really need a sign-off phrase, but
Yeah.
that's
We'll workshop it.
yeah, that's the way the cookie crumbled. Fuck, that one's taken. See you later, culinary. What was it?
Delinquents.
I was gonna say degenerates. Either way, see you later, fucking degenerates.